welcome to Meagan Makes Cupcakes. Today I'll be teaching you how to make an adorable robot cake, and I've also included down below some really awesome templates that will help you figure out the sizing for the cake. So follow along with me as I show you how to make this cake step by step. So the first thing you want to do is to get some of these cake boards. I got these from my local craft store. And then look below and you'll find some templates that I've included to make sure you get the right sizes for the cakes. First off, you're going to need 2 cut out cake boards for the robot body top. And you're only going to need to cut out 1 of the robot head tops. And those are going to be used as your cake boards. Okay, so now I have cut out a robot body top template onto my cake board. And I'm using that as a guide to make sure that all my cakes are the same size. And then what you're going to do when you're done cutting is you're going to stack 2 layers of cake. And then once you've done that and filled them, you're going to take that second support or cake board that I was telling you about, and you're going to want to cut 3 holes in the center of the cardboard, and that is going to serve as the holes where our supports are going to go through the cake. And so it can get a little confusing here if you don't have a guide for later on to find the supports. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of paper, we're going to lay it on top, and then just using a pen or a marker, outline where those holes are and just color those in. And then also you're going to want to specify whether it's up or down. And that way later on when you're trying to orient yourself, you won't be confused. Okay, so now you're going to act as though this is just another layer of cake. So don't be shy about adding some frosting on top of that cardboard layer. And then once you've done that, you can just continue stacking the cakes. First adding some simple syrup for moisture, and then frosting on top of that. And now that we've reached the height that we want for the front of our body, we're just going to do a simple crumb coat layer here and just cleaning up the sides as best as we can. And we're going to pop that into the fridge. All right, we're just going to use the same steps as we did before. We're going to cut out all the layers for the head and stack them as high as they're supposed to be according to the template. And then we're just going to give that a nice crumb coat and a final coat as well. Okay, so now I'm just taking my gray fondant, and I have this great little gear mold. I'm just pressing it into the mold. I'm making sure there's cornstarch on the top and the bottom of the fondant so it doesn't stick to my hands. And then I'm just rolling that out on top. And you can either use a knife or a palette knife to smooth it out. Now I'm just being really gentle as I'm pulling these fondant pieces out of the mold. And then once you've done that, just set them on some saran wrap or something that you don't mind spraying. And I'm using some silver color mist, shaking it really well, and then just give those a nice spray and they have a nice silver sheen. Okay, so now we're just taking some red fondant. This part's really easy. You're just going to take a medium-sized heart cutter, and that's going to be the heart for our robot. Okay, so now you're going to take some rolled out white fondant, and using medium circle cutters, you're going to cut out some white circles, and these are going to serve as the eyes for our robot. And then taking some black fondant, you're going to roll that out. And you're going to cut out some circles that are slightly smaller, and those are going to serve as the pupil for the inside of the eye. Now you're simply just going to take some water, and you only need a little bit here, and you're going to adhere the top black part of the pupil. Now we're going to take some rolled out orange fondant, and we're going to make some letters for the front of the cake. And using our cutouts, we're going to put some saran wrap on top, and that will make it a lot easier so that the letters are not sticking inside of the mold. Now we're going to roll out a long piece of gray fondant, and these are going to serve as the arms and the leg for our robot. You're just going to want to brush some fondant glue or water on top of that gray fondant, and then using a plastic dowel, we're going to lay that on top and roll the fondant over the plastic dowel. Then just use your fingers to smooth off any imperfections on the seam of the dowel. Okay, so now we've just cut that into 2 pieces, and we're going to take our color mist again to give that a nice silver sheen and just set those aside to dry. Now we're going to take some more of that orange fondant to make the hands, and so you just want to cut that into a nice rectangular shape. And then once we get it down to around the size we want, now that's a little too big, we're going to cut that in half, and we'll have 2 of our hands for the robot. Now for the feet, we're going to take some already made Rice Krispie trees, or you can make your own if you want to. And I'm just cutting those into a nice square shape. And once I have those formed the way that I want them to look, we're just going to take some more of that orange fondant and roll that out really well to get it to the shape that we want. And then we're just going to put some more of that fondant glue right on top so they adhere really nicely. And we're just going to connect it together and take a knife and chop off the edges. Okay, so now we're just going to smooth out any bumps, and we're going to take some blue fondant using our medium cutter. We're going to make the shapes for the ears. And then you're just going to kind of shape those into an elongated circle, kind of push the edges in. And then you're going to do the same thing with some orange fondant using a smaller cutter, and I'm actually using a piping tip to do that. And then once again, you're going to take some more of that blue fondant and you're going to cut some little circles out to go on top. And then once you've done that, you're just going to take some water and glue all the pieces together. So now you're just going to roll out some more blue fondant, and you want it to be the length of the straw that you're using, and use some fondant glue to get it adhere to the straw, and cut it so that it's the right width and so you don't have overhang. And then you're just going to roll that onto itself and cut off any excess you have. Now we're just going to roll some orange balls to put on top of the antennas, and we're going to cut out a long rectangle for the mouth. Then we're just going to put all of our different fondant pieces on top, the mouth, the eyes, and I'm just using some water here. And now we're going to put the supports in the cake. We used our template to find where the holes were on top of the cake, so we knew we were putting them in the right spot. And now we're going to put the legs, we're going to insert those, space those out so that they are equal on both sides. And now we're going to put the gears on the top left. You can put them wherever you'd like. And make sure that they are connecting, the gears slide into each other. Then we're just going to put on our heart and the name in front of our cake. And for some finishing touches, we're going to cut out some round circles. This is to make the connecting pieces for the arms. And then once we do that, we're just going to take the edges or the leftover pieces, and we're going to cut that into a square with kind of a rounded edge on top, and make sure that you cut out 2 pieces that are the same size. And then I'm just going to take the top of my cookie cutter, and I'm going to use that to kind of level the edges out. Now we're going to line up those circles, and we're going to cut off both of the edges so that they're kind of like rectangles with rounded edges on each side. And then we're going to take the pieces from before, we're going to glue those onto the side of the cake. Then we're going to use some fondant glue to adhere the arm from earlier onto that fondant. And we're going to take the circles that we cut into rectangular shapes, and we're going to just glue that right on top to give it kind of almost like a cuff-like appearance, and kind of round the edges so that it's connected to the cake. And then we're going to take some glue, and we're going to glue down the hands that we made earlier. Then taking a thin piece of fondant, we're going to wrap it around from the hand through the back of the arm to make it look more connected. And then we're going to take a round gray circle, and we're going to cut that out to go over the top of the supports to make a nice neck. And I would suggest doing this only when you're ready to serve the cake. And now it's ready to be stacked. Thanks so much for tuning in to Meagan Makes Cupcakes, and I hope you'll give this robot cake a try.